Namaste and welcome to Urban Chatterati. This is Abhinav Prakash. And today I'm joined by Jeetan Jain, who is an information warfare and cybersecurity expert. Jeetan, welcome to the show.
Namaste, Abhinav.
So, Jeetan, we are seeing this war heated up between these Facebook and the Twitter and the government of India over the new IT laws in the country. What exactly are we talking about here? What exactly is the law and why are WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, they are against it?
Look, Abhinav, first of all, there is no new law. There are some new, well-defined rules which have been put out under the existing law. And this law, the IT Act of 2008 and the subsequent section, they were passed in 2008 and later on added more, and all during the regime of previous governments, not of even this political party. So it is a politically neutral law. Some new rules have come in, and these rules are basically meant to regulate these big tech and ensure they have a legal accountability and public accountability in India. And second purpose is to do some light touch regulation for new age platforms like OTT platforms like Netflix and all these things, because they have not been regulated. They do not come under any board. They do not seek any permissions. They have been just operating on a lawless island. Now, third unsaid purpose is to empower Indian citizens for redressing their grievances. अगर आप देखेंगे पिछले सालों में कितने केसेस आपने देखे होंगे, किसी की फेक फोटोज आ गई, कोई फेक प्रोपेगेंडा चल रहा है, किसी का डेटा थेफ्ट हुआ, किसी का आईडी ब्लॉक हो गया, and people have nowhere to go. You write a complaint to Facebook, nobody responds. And this is despite of an order of Delhi High Court 8 years back, where they said that, look, these companies have almost 60% user based in India. Your 40-50% revenue is coming out of India, and you do not even have a single grievance officer. So these companies were directed to appoint a grievance officer. Now, finding a lacuna or a loophole in the judgment, they did appoint a grievance officer, but that officer was appointed in Ireland. And he doesn't have a mobile number. He does not respond to any email. So now imagine for 40 crore people, you have one Gora chap sitting somewhere in Ireland or California who does not respond to you. And while these companies are minting billions and billions of dollars out of revenue in India. Now,
which company is that which has a grievance officer in Ireland?
All three of them. None of them have a grievance officer in India.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
And most of them have an officer in Ireland. Now, so people have to understand that government, in the most striking provision of this new IT rule, says all these companies have to ensure that they appoint 3 officers: grievance officer, compliance officer, and one more officer who's a resident of India. Again, he can be a foreigner, but he has to reside in India. He has to be available 24/7. And in case of grave issues like threats, life and order situation, terrorism incidents, or sexual harassment, or women issues, you have to take cognizance of complaints and respond within 24 hours. And if the content is life-threatening or reputation-threatening, you take it down in 24 hours or 48 hours, depending on the content. And suppose you are deciding to block somebody's handle, trying to do a shadow ban to someone, you're trying to delete somebody's tweet. If you think that you have to do it for whatever policy without any government order, lawful order, or judicial order, then you give him a chance to explain his position. And if you're satisfied, restore. Otherwise, but he will have a remedy to put his side of story to you. And you have to every month file a transparency report. Now, these companies also find these 3 provisions problematic. They do not want to pay salary of 3 guys in India because they are here to make money, not to pay even the salary of 3 guys. There can be no reason for any company not to appoint 3 officers in India when you have 50 crore, 60 crore users. And because of this situation, you would have heard this incident which has been floating around everywhere in media, that Delhi police raided or such Twitter office. I think you have to understand why Delhi police at the first place had to go to Twitter's office. There is a complaint about a political issue by a political party. I will not get into that. In the course of that investigation, for any investigation, preliminary inquiry or FIR, first step is the issuance of a notice or recording of a statement. In that simple due process of law, which happens everywhere in every geography across the world, in the largest and biggest and bestest of democracies, Delhi police issued a notice to Twitter MD that, please, I think you are aware of why this content was fake or real. You may are aware of certain information. Please come and record your statement. Now, Twitter India MD sends a reply to Delhi police and says that, look, buddy, you have knocked the wrong door. I'm not the right guy. I have got nothing to do with Twitter. And he didn't come. Now, Delhi police sends a reminder that you are directed to appear in the front of a DCP this and record your statement because you're aware of certain facts. And again, they hire big lawyers based out of India, pay them money to manipulate system, and they send another reply saying that, did not you read my previous reply? It was evidently clear that I have got nothing to do with Twitter. In US, I run a sales and marketing company here, which is a separate entity from Twitter US. This is Twitter India, and I'm not responsible. Everything is decided in US. Can you understand this fraud which has been happening on this country for 10 years, that you form subsidiaries and sister companies here in India with the same name, go to parliamentary hearings, receive award, talk to politicians, ministers, appear on TV, give ad in newspapers, make policies, verify, block people. But when you are asked to appear before law, you say that we have got nothing to do with that company. So to put an end to this mess, government says, please appoint 3 officers, and you will appoint. You have a choice. You can say that we already have a subsidiary here, they will deal with it, fine. Or you appoint separate officer, but we need physical presence of 3 officers in India so that our law enforcement does not have to hunt around your offices and listen to these lies and look around a person who can responsibly say that I am a representative of this company. So that's issue number 1. Now, issue number 2, there is a kidnapping case. We have seen so many in Delhi. Police sends a request to WhatsApp or this thing. There is a ransom call. There is a violent incident, incitement of terrorism. You send them something and they say that we can't track anything. You please come through MLAT. You will send after 1 month after the person dies. This has gone on and for many months, except in rare few cases where the iron hand is coming and the bigger stick has come in. They rarely comply in time. So government, one of the purpose is that when these 3 officers, compliance officer will be based in India or a legal representative, he will respond to such requests on emergency basis within 24, 48 hours. He will respond in time so that our citizens are empowered, our lives are saved in issues of national safety, terrorism, and all those things. Precious time is not lost. And India is not the only country to do so. Biggest democracies like in US, Canada, France, New Zealand, Australia, United Kingdom, they have all issued joint communiques asking similar demands to these companies to fight terrorism across the world. So these are 2 bigger issues. Now, third issue, which is on the side shows, is that, look, these companies have been trying to collect data even before the data privacy law comes in. Now, the law might come in any time. So just to preempt that stringent provision, they are trying to collect as much data as possible. That is why this WhatsApp sold data collection privacy policy. When there was a lot of pressure in public, government wrote them. They said, okay, we will keep spamming people. We will not force them, but we will spam them 7 times a day till the time they by accidentally or by mistake click on accept that policy. Now, after a huge outcry and exposure of these draconian policies, which are separate in Europe and India, suddenly WhatsApp thinks that by filing a petition in Delhi High Court, they can from a thief become a saint by changing clothes and project themselves as privacy right guys. But I think India has seen through this propaganda. India will now ensure that big techs, these new digital East India companies, are regulated. They do not create a political disruption in India. They are not able to run an influence operation. They have to pay taxes. They have to comply with law. In that spirit of national importance, these new rules have been notified.
Yes, but as you said, the WhatsApp is now converting it into the issue of privacy. Twitter today has said they are champions of freedom of expression, which is quite funny. Like China is concerned about free trade, WhatsApp is concerned about privacy, Taliban is concerned about women's rights, and Twitter is concerned about freedom of expression. But you find a willing section of the population in this country, which is also amplifying their propaganda. So what exactly is motivating certain people in India? Is it lobbying by these big tech companies? Are they throwing big money? Or is just, political positioning and all those things?
Abhinav, you've been a historian, and I keep watching your, discussions and deliberations. See, when East India companies came to India, they said, we are here to do business. All these big techs also said the same thing, we are here to do business. Then one of the most prominent reasons East India Company gave, that we are here to make your life better. We will build roads. We will teach you how to do business. We will build railways for you. We will industrialize your economy. And you felt very happy. These companies came in, they said, we'll give you social media networking platforms. We will empower rural communities to sell stuff online. We will give you a platform to abuse your politicians and put out your grievances or make friends online. So be it, it was all fine. Once the roads were built, once the railways were built, then East India Company allied with some of the powerful kings and say that, okay, we will help you now with an army to defeat your opponents, but you have to connive with me and we will do business together. Once that happened, they said, now we will forcefully, using our army, take your products, use the same road and railways to take your products at 1/4 of prices and sell it to, or even free of cost, and send it back to the United Kingdom. And you can't do anything. You can die out of starvation, but this is the price you have to pay for letting us in. Now, these companies came in, they collected your data, they sold it to companies like Cambridge Analytica. They said that we were empowering you, but then they started forcefully collecting your data. Now, if you do not accept their policy, you will be thrown out of the platform. Then you find convenient political partners. Opposition parties realize, okay, maybe these are the companies. If we connive with them, ride with them, maybe we can get into power. And that is the reason you find that a prominent former IT minister, Kapil Sibal, under whose aegis IT law was drafted, is now an advocate on WhatsApp in the Delhi High Court. So lead opposition party, which is running a propaganda that this is arm twisting by government, is hand in hand with WhatsApp and this big tech, and they are the lawyers of these companies. So it is what happened 200 years ago in case of East India Company is happening with the Digital India East India Company. You come, rule, divide people, take away material, and don't pay any taxes. They have come, they have ruled, they have collected data, they are making money. They have conniving partners in opposition to dethrone one king. And now they don't want to pay any taxes. They have to have their own law. East India Company also bought in their own army. They said, we will not follow your law. These people have also bought in their own offices. They said, we will make our own rules. We will decide in our AC room whether we have to shut down a US president or we have to shut down your political leaders. We will decide what is right, what is wrong, what is fake, what is real. In case you decide to apply any law, any policy and try to regulate us, then we'll create a situation of India of a political war, and we will put you in such a divided house that you will not be able to deal with us. And this is what is the replica of what is happening in the WhatsApp's case in High Court.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So do you think there is lots of lobbying going on by these big tech companies? Why are the government officials not doing enough? Why are they sleeping? Why were they sleeping over it for so many years? Or is there lots of, let's me put it clearly. It's up to you if you want to answer it or not. Are our ministries compromised by the big tech companies?
Could anybody say no?
Yeah, got it.
So there are a section of people who had even lobbied for long for companies like Huawei. Forget about big tech. They have even lobbied for companies of Chinese origin. We have found so many sympathetic partners, both in commercial side, public side, civil society, as well as in the government. Not only to blame the government, but a large section of our bureaucracy has been manipulated by these Chinese companies and big tech companies over a period of time. I wish we had a man whose statue is behind you, who could see through these lobbies, Sardar Patel, and fix them accordingly in the language they understand. This is the reason many of the articles you see in the newspaper, many of the NGOs which are writing articles running comparison of WhatsApp and Signal, lobbying for against traceability and why end-to-end encryption will be broken and all those things. If you were to ask these companies to file an affidavit of conflict of interest, whether they have ever received funding from this big tech or not, directly or indirectly, 95% of them would disappear like Greenpeace did after curbing on NGOs and FCRA stringent provisions. So I think my appeal to the government is not for this generation, but for coming generation to overcome this problem of lobbying and manipulation of political system by money and other unconstitutional means. You would very well understand how India system works. I think any person who's trying to influence public policy must declare his conflict of interest.
Yeah. So my final question to you, Jitin, is you alluded to Sardar Patel. What can the government do? What would Sardar Patel Sardar Patel done if he was in power today?
I think national interest should be supreme. Even your own party and political interest should be servant. It is for BJP as well as for Congress. Now, first thing, what should happen, that if these companies, what government has written today for 15 days, I think time has been given for compliance report. Every single company who does not comply, their protections is automatically gone. They are no more intermediaries, and criminal cases should be filed against them in all the pending cases. That's number one. Number two, this petition, a government should seek the clubbing of petition of this WhatsApp's privacy policy one, which is pending by civil society, and the one filed by WhatsApp, so that a judge should see the holistic picture, that a company which wants to collect everything from people by force does not want to give anything to the government in case of lawful orders. Second, you must also understand this is not a question of today, it is a question of tomorrow.
Yes.
What will you do if Twitter and WhatsApp decide to shut down the account of every single Indian politician just 2 days before election? What teeth do you have? So we have to empower our laws, empower our system, and deal with these companies with iron hand. They are welcome here to do business. They should flourish, make money. We wish they make more money, but pay the proportionate taxes in India. Twitter last year paid, I think, around 15 lakh rupees of taxes, I'm told.
15 lakh, just that?
Oh, yeah. So, that's a great thing. I think this PUBG paid not even that, while they made 2,500 crores. So the question is, and this is one of the issues, they are not appointing officers, because the moment they appoint 3 officers in India, they will come in the definition of permanent establishment, and they will have to pay taxes in India. So it's a bigger issue of evading taxes. But Abhinav, you see, we must ensure that these platforms do not become a tool of information warfare and political manipulation. We have to ensure that they operate like any other company. If I, as an individual, have to form a startup, I seek government permission, I comply with law, I pay my taxes. These companies have not come from a different planet. They also have to comply with law and pay taxes here. These are 2 simple things. Everything else is propaganda.
Yeah, thank you, Jitin. You have rightly pointed it out. My personal opinion is that, and this is not a charitable opinion, that Indian ruling classes, a large section, has always been comprador. You've always been in hand with the foreign conquerors. And this is what we're seeing today again. I think we need to learn from the Chinese people, from the Great Wall of China to the Great Wall of China. The Chinese ruling class knows how to deal with the threats. And I think the Chinese way is the best way to deal with these big tech companies. You may agree or disagree, but I think that is the way forward.
No, I think forget about China, forget about iron hand approach. Even the biggest democracies are trying to regulate them. Look what Australian government did. Google was trying to bully Australian government, saying that government is spreading misinformation. We will not follow the law. We will leave Australia. The moment the Prime Minister said, get out, if you don't want to follow the law, they all fell in line. They complied with the law. They are paying taxes. Everything is sorted. So the moment government throws away the carrot and shows them the stick, they all will comply. They all will fall in line.
Fair point. I think we should simply say after 24 hours, Twitter is going to shut down. And I think within 24 hours, they will do everything. If not, who's lost?
They will not go anywhere. They will pay taxes. They will still make money. Trust me, they will not leave this market. This is the bread and butter for them. They are not going anywhere. You put 50% tax also, they will comply. It is a question of political will.
It's a question of political will. It's a question of state power. We hope that the government will take appropriate action. And this is also our appeal to the people that do not make it a partisan issue. This is not about political parties, political ideologies. As Jitin has pointed out, this is about tomorrow. This is about data colonization. This is about Twitter East India Company. This is not about Twitter. So thank you, Jitin, for talking to us. And thank you, audience, for listening. Please subscribe to the channel and join as a member to support the channel. Hoping to see you soon. Thank you once again.